Okay, so if you watched any of my other story times, you know that I had a family business in DC. It was a beauty supply store and it was actually named after me. So this business was like in the northeast area in Brooklyn, which is like near Catholic University. If you're from the DMV area, you know about Catholic, or even just like from DC, you know about Catholic University. And I actually attended Catholic University, so that's a side note. So this, we had behind me where I stood inside of the store, we had a whole bunch of hair weave, and we had the most expensive hair weave directly behind where we stood, like near the register and everything like that. So you'd have to literally ask if you wanted to get, you know, the weave that, or the hair that was behind us. So I had this young lady come in, and she was also with another girl. And this school, no, not the school, this, our beauty supply store was near what was known as like a bad kid school. I don't really remember I don't really want to put out the name like that, but it's pretty obvious if like you're from the area and whatever. But the school was known as, like, I think it was like an alternative school, because people refer to it as the bad kids school, like watch out if those kids come in here and everything like that. So judging from the looks of these little kids, I could tell that they were from the bad kid school. So I was kind of like watching them, but I don't do too much when I watch people, you know. I just kind of like, you know, scan, like, you know, what they're doing and everything, like how they're acting, you know, 5 minutes into like walking around the store. But I'm not like, you know, scoping them out and everything like that. But I was still cautious, and we had cameras like in every corner of the store, so I could still see, because we had like a little setup on the side on the table where there was like, you know, the whole camera system set up, all the cameras, and we could see everything from where I was standing, from like behind the register. So these girls are like walking around and everything like that, and looking at all the hair weave on the wall. Like we had it set up from the most expensive, which was the one that was directly behind me, the middle range one, which is probably like, you know, like around like $50 to $100, and then we had like the low range one, which was like all the way down to the end of the store, which you can get stuff for like $10, $20, even $5, ponytails and stuff like that, just stuff like that. It was like different price ranges and everything. So they're like looking around at it, and I hear one of them, they like make comments like, they ain't got nothing in this store. This store sucks, so and so, such and such. And then the other girl looks at her and is like, nuh-uh, friend, they have, you know, they got the good stuff behind which they're pointing to me at this time. So I see them kind of like start approaching me and everything like that. And she's like, oh, can I see the such and such behind you? Let's say naked hair behind me and everything like that. So, you know, I unravel it, because like, you know, I have a sample one to give them, so I don't have to open a new one, because that's like a waste, and you don't want people's hands on, you know, different people's stuff. So I give them the one, you know, the sample one to fill and everything like that. And the second girl, she kind of act like she about to run off with it or something. Like she goes like this, like she goes like with a quick movement and whatever, like she's about to run out the store. And I'm like, yo. And she's like, oh girl, I'm just playing. And I was like, I did kind of like a nervous chuckle and whatnot. And so they keep asking me, like they probably asked me for like 6 different samples, and I was okay with it, because I was like, you know, you never know who's like, you know, an actual customer who's gonna come back and, you know, buy something, or she might even buy something now, because, you know, a lot of young people, they be having money, they be having their little jobs and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, let me not judge them and whatever. So eventually we get to one that's like, it's like one of the most expensive ones that we have in the store, actually. And I'm like, okay, you know, this is good. And she's like, is it good hair? Can you bleach it? Can you dye it? Is it gonna hold up? And I'm like, yeah. And we had many customers that, you know, gave us good reviews on the hair and everything like that. So I knew what I was talking about for sure. So they make the purchase for the closure, and I think it was about 3 or 4 bundles of Peruvian hair. It was either Peruvian or Brazilian hair. And, you know, everything goes well. She gives me her card and everything like that, and we good to go. Now, for this hair, and I made this very clear in the beginning, and I say it to every customer, no matter who they are, I say, we do not allow returns for the hair. unless you leave out of here with the hair and you turn it right back around and you say, I do not want this hair, then the hair is yours. You cannot do things to the hair and then expect for us to return to you know, accept the return, because that doesn't make any sense. We can't resell that, and that's a loss on us. You could have worn the hair for one night, took it out, and then said, oh, I don't want it, it didn't work for me, and then we're left at a loss. So that doesn't make any sense. So keep that in mind. So the young ladies, they leave out with the hair and the closure and everything like that. And, you know, things are going pretty good, you know. So what happens after that is, after they make the purchase and everything, I think it was about a couple days later, I see this young lady and her friend approaching. And I'm like, hi, how are you? And she has this mean mug on her face, like she want to fight me. And I'm just like, what's up? Can I help you with anything? How's it going? And she's like, this hair, you lied to me. This hair is not good hair. This hair is some junk. And she was like, she tried to bleach the hair and it didn't bleach. And I'm like, no, that hair actually does bleach, because I've had customers tell me that the hair does in fact bleach. It worked well for them. I've never had any negative reviews with the hair. So to me, in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, she probably wore the hair, took it out, and is trying to get me to return the hair. And I'm like, I'm not going for it. It says clears down the receipt, no returns for hair, especially if it's been removed out of the packaging or manipulated in any way. We cannot accept returns. And she knew that. She was aware of that. I said it to her actually twice before she left out with the hair when she purchased the hair. So I tell her no. We go back and forth for about 10 minutes. And I'm like, I'm sorry, we don't do returns here. You know, it's unfortunate it didn't work for you. You'd be the first one at that point. And that was that. A couple hours later, I see this young lady and her friend, the one that's always with her, and then I see about 10 other people, 10 other kids walking behind her. There's another guy that's on the side of me, looking directly at me through the glass, and then there's like 9 other people who enter the store with her and the other young lady. I look at them and immediately I know what is going on. They start running in there, gang style, throwing the mannequins over, pushing stuff over, screaming and yelling, this ain't good hair, you about to give me my money back. And I'm like, no, I'm not about to give you your money back. And as a matter of fact, I'm calling the police. You need to leave immediately. So she doesn't take this seriously. Neither do her friends take this seriously. Guess why? Because these kids are already in an alternative school. They're bad kids. So I was like, okay, it's whatever to me. And meanwhile, I didn't care, because I was like, okay, I've already called the police and I have myself a little, you know, a little mini weapon if things get turned up in here like that. But I didn't want to have to do that. I don't want any lawsuits on my hands or with my family or whatever like that. So I was like, I'm just going to keep my cool. If anything happens, you know, it's self-defense. It is what it is at this point. So all they do really is they just start knocking stuff over. You know, stuff people do when they're nuts and they enter a store and they're not getting a return when they knew they weren't getting a return in the first place. In my head, I'm just like, I know she probably was just trying to, you know, play me. And she's like, oh, they see that I do not have anybody else in there. Usually the people that are in there is usually another girl that we had working there part-time, or my mother was in there. But my mom was in there like on a, you know, on a part-time-ish type of thing. She came when she could, and that was fine. It's whatever. But they knew that I didn't have any security. So they took this chance to try and roughhouse me and try to intimidate me into giving them a return, when I was like, I was standing strong. I was like, no, it's not gonna happen. So after they did all that and tried to intimidate me and get in my face, I was like, okay, it is what it is. As long as no one touches me. I didn't say that out loud, but I was thinking to myself, as long as no one touches me, we good, we cool. They're gonna do their damage and I'll just clean it up after they leave and whatever. I'll lock the door and clean it up. So the police, as usual, they get there about 20 minutes later and the kids have already gone. And I have no way to, besides the camera, but the camera, they were moving so fast, the camera wasn't really able to pick up who was who, but I was able to see who the 2 girls were and identify the 2 girls and everything like that. Needless to say, nothing really came out of it, and I don't really want to, tarnish little kids, criminal records over a silly move like that. So we just let it go, because, we weren't trying to have any craziness on our hands, especially, like with their parents. But after all that happened, we didn't press charges. We didn't do any of that. what happened. We didn't press charges, we didn't do any of that, but the next day, we came up to the window and there was a giant gash in the window, like somebody had just thrown a big old rock at the window. So obviously it was them, but that's okay. It's better than, you know, pressing charges and then they're even more mad and then they try and do something even more drastic. And I care about my safety, so I was like, you know what, we just gonna let this situation go, and that's all good, that's it. But needless to say, the crack in the window, it cost us like, I think it was like almost $600 or whatever. It was a loss, but you know, it is what it is. That's what happens when you're in the retail and you deal with the public. You don't know who's gonna be walking in and out of your door. But that was just my crazy story time. So like, subscribe, and comment. Bye.